I have a pet peeve, and my pet peeve, and something that's very, very important to me in communication is you have to get into that person's world. They're not in your world in their communications and their thinking. They go back to that long-term memory that we were talking about. It's called remote memory. That stays with them. The remote memory stays for a long time. There towards the ends, they tend to get it confused. But if you can get in there and use that long-term memory, it makes them happy. Those were some happy times in their lives. Those were happy times with their kids. Those were happy times with you, at your wedding. So if you can go back and enjoy what they're talking about, you're better off. But don't correct them. If your mother says, I have to leave now because the kids are waiting for me to pick up at school. Most people will say, now mother, the kids are grown. They're not waiting at school. Well, you're the one that's wrong. It's not them, because in their mind, they're in their remote memory, which is intact. And they know in their heart that the kids are waiting for them. And how would you feel when you do know your kids are waiting him? You might be 5 minutes late. Aren't you kind of rushed and a little upset? You don't want the kids waiting? Well, that's how your mother feels. That's her real emotions. She has emotions. So it's helpful to agree with her, and you use her short-term memory, and that will work well. I have heard people say, Mom, that's right, they are, but you know Uncle so-and-so was going to go pick them up today for you. That works a lot of times. Or you can distract her. You know, well, we ought to go do that. I think my clock is about 10 minutes fast, so we get a little bit. Let's finish that piece of cake we had going. That is enough sometimes to change that memory for that moment. But beware, it'll come back again. You're going to deal with it constantly. Or she will say, let me think of another one. Oh, my mother always said this to me. I want to go see Granny. Well, my mother was in Tucson at the time, and Granny must have been 200 years old, and Granny was in Arkansas. Kind of unrealistic there. But remember, I'm joining her world because that's the way she's thinking. She can't come to me, but I can go to her. So that's what you got to do. You got to go to that person. That's my pet peeve, when people don't go there. I've already shown you that they don't have the memory. The brain is damaged. It's not going to come back. You're going to use their verbal language, and you're going to use their remote language. That's important. So I went in to visit my mother from a trip from here. I went down to Tucson, and my sister was having a lot of problems with her wanting to go see Granny. And of course, it was always in the evening. So I went in, and I thought, well, how am I going to handle this? So I thought, well, I'm going to get irate with her. So, in a friendly way. So she says, now, Rosie, I want to go see Granny tonight. And I said, Mother, I just got here. I worked all day long. I'm tired, and I just got here. And you want to go see Granny? I didn't tell her she couldn't go see Granny. I accepted Granny. Well, Granny will be tired and afraid by herself. And I said, well, Mother, it's 9 o'clock at night. We're going to go down and get on the train and go at 9 o'clock at night. I said, and I came here to see you. And my mother said, well, maybe we can go first thing in the morning if I can't go tonight. I said, that sounds like a winner to me. At least you can be with me, you know. And she liked me. She did want to be with me. So I said, okay, I'll call Granny. Remember, Granny's 200, and I don't know where she went. I'll call Granny and tell her. Okay, she says. So I gave her water with one ice cube because my husband did it that way. And I went out, and I heard my mother saying, Rosie, did you call Granny? I says, Mother, I'm on the phone with Granny right now. She says, stay there. It's too late to be coming. She'll see you tomorrow sometimes. Thank you, Rosie. I love you. I think I cried that night because my mother said, I love you. She was about 96, 95 when she said this. Normally during the day, she's just really good. She knew all the kids, they could call them on the phone. But right then, she was a little bit, Granny was security. That's why she wants to go to Granny. Granny was security. She wasn't even her granny. Her grandfather married this wonderful lady, and she came to my mother's home when her mom and dad died and raised all 7 kids. In fact, I think maybe she was an angel in disguise. So mother would continually ask for Granny, so you had to think about it. One night she did this to me, and I said, you know, Granny called me a while ago. She's not going to be there tonight. Are you sure? Well, would I lie to you? See, I'm in her world. I'm using things that I know my mother would understand. I know things my mother would say. So I didn't have problems with wanting to go, to Granny's house. So you have to really think hard about how you're going to answer those questions. Only you can do that. You know your history. So I know that if they want to go, the biggest thing, they want to go home. And Granny, that was home. Go to Granny's. They want to go home. You can say things like, I got to get the battery in the car. I have an appointment in the morning. Maybe we can go just as soon as I get the battery in. Because it's a little late and I didn't get a nap today and I'd like to drive. That might satisfy them. It has many times. Or you might say, well, I've got so much stuff to pack. I don't want to pack this late. We'll pack first thing in the morning. You can usually talk them out of that. If worse comes to worse, get in the car and start driving somewhere. Go buy McDonald's and get an ice cream cone. Any things like that can change their mind. You can get them somewhere else. But whatever you do, don't deny them what they're saying, because to your loved one, that is the truth. Forget what you know and get in there where his mind is. That will help you so much.